Activation code required. Access granted. Warning. Evacuation sequence activated.
We're back. Welcome to the bunker.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another awesome episode of S-4 Paranormal Bunker. So we are, tonight we are doing American hauntings, but we are concentrating on the Colonial Wars, Gettysburg, because our very own Rosella has just come back from a trip there.
Oh la la.
So, yes. Friend, how's everybody doing tonight?
Oh, wonderful.
Friend.
I'm awake.
Continuing one quick thing from last week. You guys remember Paula put in the Discord chat that new Dr. Pepper? It's creamy coconut, or as I say, creamy nut juice. We tried it last night.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's absolutely disgusting.
It tastes like straight coconut.
Friend, it's raw coconut. It's not cooked like, it's not baked. So, it doesn't have the sweetness to it. It is just raw.
Have you ever had real coconut juice?
Yeah.
Right out of the coconut?
Yeah.
There are a number of different kinds of coconut, so it depends on what they're using and how they processed it in the nut. I can't fathom this would be a good thing. I mean, and straight coconut.
You know where they set off all the bombs in Nevada? I think that's where they got them.
Probably. No,
it's not great.
They did not put real coconut milk or any real coconut anything in it. They just ran it through the 3D printer, like liquid producing version of it, and went, "Oh, this simulates it." So
yeah,
anything that simulates flavor.
Yeah.
Well, and half the things that do simulate flavor, they don't actually taste like. I've never had a banana that tastes like banana flavor stuff.
I have.
God, no.
Right. Friend,
I just want to
yeah. Friend. But anyways, friend, yeah. So we did try it.
We digress in a weird way.
Yes.
That was funny. Nikki's face. I'm like, okay.
So Rosella, how was Gettysburg?
Well, it wasn't boring, that's for sure. So my friend Misty and I, actually, we left on Thursday, and all of the weird things that happened to us ended up happening to us actually on Friday. Pretty much on Thursday, it was kind of like a weird curse situation where we got there, and we signed up for this haunted walking tour, which turned into not being a walking tour. So if you go, basically really read descriptions and reviews really well, even though this one had a description of being a walking tour and had reviews that were like only one guy kind of spouted off, but you figure you get one bad egg every once in a while. We didn't pay attention to it. And the guy basically led us into the backyard of this inn and told us ghost stories from like 1956, I swear, for 2 hours, nearly 2 hours. where I actually got up and I had to leave because I had to go to the bathroom so bad. Basically, I was like, and I didn't want to go back. I was like, just thinking of texting Misty, like, hey, we'll be at bar, like, inside the inn. And, like, she'll kill me. So I went back, and he finally ended it. It was really, really bad because it was in the description, like, a walking tour of Gettysburg. It was certainly not that. So if it's $34 for this tour, and just understand that it's probably not, like, that's the tour that I'm talking about, just, like, look out. So I wanted to warn people about that. And then, unfortunately, because it was past 9 o'clock, all the places had closed but one. And it was like a bar, which they had fabulous food, but the drinks really sucked. So, I just hate it when you go, like, for a vacation and you can't get, like, a decent drink anywhere, and you know you're on vacation. I drove all day. But we also went to a winery before, like, when we got there. Like, right when we got there, we went to this really great Adams County winery, which was fabulous. Had a great tour guide. She was wonderful. So then these two bad things kind of ended up happening. We went back to our Airbnb, and everything was fine. The next morning we went to, let's see here, the next morning, where did we go? I think, we had a tour of the battlefield. So we actually had a food and wine tour. So this is like the second superstition that kind of started popping up. The food and wine tour person never showed up. And we just got our money back yesterday. We had to call, and an hour and 15 minutes later, wait for them to refund, start the refund process. It was terrible. So the good thing is that we went around, to places and ate, and we did all the same things we kind of would have gone to, and shopped and had fun. And then we went to this, we had a horse and buggy, carriage tour of the battlefield. So this is when the crazy thing started. So we went to these horse stables off of the battlefield, and there was probably about 12 of us in this, buggy. I was in the back and Misty and the tour guide. It was really weird because I felt like we were going down this hill and we were on the main road of the battle, in between all the battlefields. And I could start to feel a lot just because of my gifts, but then I couldn't, it was hard to question, am I feeling, the past, or am I feeling now? And then we started going down this hill, and the horse and buggy kind of thing. We're probably going a good, I'd say 10 miles an hour. It was really slow. 2 horses pulling 12 people, a huge cart. So it felt like it was ungodly slow. And all the traffic around us, the speed limit was 25 miles an hour. And this truck comes barreling over this hill, and I felt it coming. I looked at Misty, and she knows my faces by now to know that there's something really wrong. And I just looked at her because I couldn't pinpoint, all of a sudden I felt like we were going to die. I really felt like we were going to die that strongly. And then I saw the truck barreling over this hill, and it must have been going between really 60 and 80 miles an hour. And what that truck didn't see is on the other side, there was a hill on the other side, because we were now going up this hill, that a white car was coming around, going to be going by us, so he couldn't go around us. He had in mind that he was not going to stop, and he was just going to go flying around us. And then it was too late. And I swear that I heard the angels stop this guy's car, because there's no way physically this guy could even have stopped his truck in time. It was insane. And I just started to scream. And Misty looked at me, and the tour guide stopped. Everybody looks back at me and sees this truck coming at us. And all of a sudden you hear, I heard stop in my mind, the angels. And then all of a sudden that truck, it was burning tire, stopping so hard. And somehow it did. And so the white car goes around, and he went flying around us. And I'm like, oh my God. So I was okay, I guess I was feeling now, not the battlefield. So we go on, the battlefield tours, perfectly fine. I wish that we would have seen a little bit more. They kind of concentrated so long because it was a 2-hour tour. And he told us actually very interesting information that I never found it in any kind of history throughout the whole trip. So it really was defining of the whole battle, of what really went wrong a little bit on those first 2 days for the, like the other side, for the Union side. So kind of interesting. And I'm like, oh my, that's what happened. Okay. So then we're going out, and they dropped us off back at the stables. We get in the car, we're driving, and there is a rest area. And it's been like 3 hours, so I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm going to stop here. I went in by myself. Okay, so this is where it gets funny. And this is where you boys are going to start to tease the crap out of me. But, so, and I'm waiting for it. But anyway, okay, so I went in, and, there was no one there. It felt like so deserted. However, I felt somebody was in there, and I'm like, oh, shit. I hate the bathroom ghost. And I'm like, okay, don't mess around with me. Like, I'm here, like in my mind. And I didn't say anything out loud. And then I left the stall. I actually left the stall unlocked, which is something I normally don't do. But Misty was in the car. She was outside in my running car. And I'm like, okay, like if somebody comes in, I'll lock it because I was close enough. I literally just sat down, and then I hear boom. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? So immediately I start to crack the door a little bit, like, what, who is that? I thought it's maybe Misty playing a joke or something at first, but that's not her personality, so I knew something had to be wrong. But also another thing to note that I forgot, when I walked up to the restroom door, I thought it was locked because it was so heavy I could hardly open it. And it was on a spring, like one of those spring things.
Yeah.
So it was like, it's like a hydraulic thing, so you couldn't open it with the force and close it that fast with the force. You had to be a crazy strong, like, dude, really, like sumo wrestler or something, because that was impressive. So I knew something was wrong. I opened the stall just a little crack, and I see the door fly completely open, and then close, and then fly halfway open, close, fly halfway open again, and close. And it is so freaking loud. And I'm like, oh my God. So I text Misty, and I'm like, get the hell in here now. So she comes in, she goes in the same thing. She's like, I could hardly open the door. I thought you were locked in here or something. And I'm like, no, this is what happened. So I had like my rods out. I was asking questions, and all I found out was it was a Confederate 19-year-old boy. Didn't want to talk. Besides that, couldn't get anything. We started to leave, and then Misty goes, well, damn it, now I have to go. So she goes in, and I wait in the car, but I rolled down my window because the door was so loud that when it banged, you could hear it probably from sitting in my car. I was that close. And I heard boom, boom. So she texts me, okay, I don't think that's you. I literally just cracked the stall a little bit, and I saw that door fly open for the second time. So it did it twice. I said, yeah, I heard it. So it was nuts. And then this other woman, she comes. She walks right into the restroom. No flaws. Walks in, definitely does her stuff really fast within like 5 minutes. Walks out. Nothing. So she texts me. I said, did you hear the woman come in? She goes, yeah, and nothing happened to her. This is not fair. This shit only happens when you're with me, This is so funny. I'm like, of course this thing's going to totally, mess with me. So I'm like, yeah, Rosella's here. We're going to get her good. So I'm like, okay. All right, we're going to go now. Okay, so here's a funny thing. We were there apparently so long. Because here, I was posting it to Facebook. I'm like, well, we're going to video this. If something happens, we have some evidence, right? And we were there apparently so long, I guess loitering in a way. They must have had a camera that I didn't even think about looking for. Suddenly, these two women in a van is very suspicious. I mean, like one of those kind of bus vans pulls up. And they pull up like right in front of us, like coming at you like they're going to hit our hood in a way. But I had already started pulling out. So I pulled around them and I just started to go. And then she followed me out. And I'm like, yeah, that's security. Like that is whoever the security is. It was like two big women. And it was a very beat up bus van kind of situation. Well, then we started, we're driving on the battlefield. I'm driving like my car. And yes, I named my car because I'm an author. So I'm driving Robin down the street. And then I see that this guy's pulled up on the side of the road he's pulled off like in a motorcycle. So the bus van stops and like starts to talk to him. I think that they were just trying to clear anybody who was like kind of like, you know, lingering or something, maybe because of accidents. But I think it was too funny. It was like two big women, and I'm like, you know, the bus van looks a little like, you know, old and bratty. I'm like, all right, I'm glad these people didn't stop and talk to us. It's a little scary. It's like, are they ghosts? So it was really weird. Well, then we drive around the whole battlefield. We went to the Devil's Den. We went to like it was Little Round Top, I think. The big Round Top was closed.
Okay.
So that was closed. I think it was some kind of flooding issue, and they were repairing it because of erosion. So,
well, Little Round Top's where the big part of the action was. That's
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you could see that, and you could try to walk to it if you wanted to dare. But I have to say, like, if anybody got up there, I'd be very impressed because their erosion problem is extreme. It was pretty intense. But you could see how close it was, that Little Round Top, to the den. It was very, very close. Like, they were shooting at each other with extremely short distances. Like, you're dead.
Yeah.
So we walked around there. We took a ton of pictures. So as we were going up, Misty had the Ovilus on, and it was like, it said when we got up to this cannons, it said, run. And I feel like it was they were talking to us to protect us. Like, what are you doing here? Run. That was really crazy. And, we just kind of had weird protection kind of. It was definitely soldiers talking to you, telling you to get out of there. And that we were probably helpless females, you know, back in that time. So that was interesting. But otherwise, nothing happened there. So then we go to this restaurant. We were like, okay, we're going to go. Well, actually, we went to see the cannon first. So we went to the cannon in daylight where this paranormal con camera video was filmed. And we found the cannon out of the whole battlefield. I'm like, I'm determined to find this thing, which was, I think, most of the problem, too. Because I was determined to actually find it. We had waited 3 years to try to see if we could see anything. Planned this trip, and everything fell apart. Mostly, like, on Misty's end at first and then mine, so like we couldn't go for so long that we were like, we're gonna do this. So we start to. She has like the ALS camera of the stick figures that pop up when there's spirits there, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So I started to film and see if anything kind of happened, see if we got anything. She turned the ALS on, and I told her, I said, the spirit manifests behind the sign, walks around the back of this cannon. There was two, and it was the one that was closest to our camera, and actually my car. And so I said, you know, this is how it usually goes. It literally puts the cannon inside, like puts the ammo inside the cannon, and then walks away, walks around it, and walks away, dissipates. Well, I'm talking to her, and I'm telling her this. And literally behind the sign, this thing appears as a stick figure sitting on top of the sign, just waving at us. Like waving. Like, yeah, okay, you think you got this. And so we walk around the back of the sign after it disappears, and we read the sign. And the sign literally says that they were only there in the night. So probably like they were there getting prepared for the next day, July 3rd, which is when everything fell apart and went down for them. Because they were winning the battle up until then. We're on the Confederate side. And we are, according to them, Yankees. I'm Ohio. She's Kentucky. So that falls into play. All right, so we get in our car. We go actually look for dinner because it's getting late. And we end up, like, we went to Cemetery Hill, which was not very far, from where the restaurant was, like, really pretty much across the street. Where we ended up going. I'm like, hey, this place looks old. Let's go in. Well, I said, you know, I just wanted like a drink and an appetizer because I just wasn't very hungry. We walk in. I put my stuff down. I said, like, you order the wine and appetizer. I'm going to go to the bathroom. I start to round the corner. And then on this other side of it, like, you know, when I round the corner basically from the bar, it's like the bar side was on one half of the building. And then the restaurant, which is a fine dining restaurant, was on the other, and the bathroom kind of was in between. So what happened was I'm walking around. I'm very tired at this point and not paying attention. And I know we have to go back to the battlefield, so I'm like, okay, I've got to, like, I'm thinking, just go to the bathroom, rest up, rejuvenate, like, I can do this. And I see this girl all of a sudden, like, come out of thin air, and I mean that statement. Very tall, like skinny tall, with black heels, very professional kind of looking, and like black trousers that were like pleated to the front of her shoe and everything, like that kind of thing, and then white, like had a white like business kind of like top, like tank top kind of situation on. Long blonde hair down to like her whole back. Like probably I'd say 19 to 27, pushing it is the age. All of a sudden, she just comes flying from the other end, and she just goes right past me, like blows past me, like we're like junior high, like I'm gonna get there before you can, and then she disappears into what I think is an open door, like of the bathroom that's just dark. Well, then I approached the bathroom, and I'm like, well, God, I guess I have to wait now. I don't know why she had to do this. Like, God, I thought I had to go really bad, you know. And I'm just sitting there for like less than a minute, and then I look up, and I realize the door is pitch black. And I'm like, I think the girl walked through the door, and I saw that. So, and then I see the door is cracked, and it's dark inside. So I push it open. It's a huge bathroom, and no one is there. And I did see this girl just come out of literally, I think, manifest out of thin air, and then fly past me and go through the door. But I was like, you know, you're just thinking and you're not paying attention. So that was weird. So I come out and I tell the bartender, and I was like, have you ever heard any reports of this? And she goes, man, everything happens to everybody but me. We get like 8 reports a day, and nothing happens to me. It was so funny. I'm like, well, we can trade. Like, I just wanted my wine. So it was crazy. And then so Misty goes in like an hour later before we leave, and she's like, damn it, now I have to go to the bathroom. I don't want to go. She's like, the whole time she was in there, she was like, I was really weirded out because I felt like I wasn't alone. I'm not kidding you. So that was interesting. So we get in the car, we go to the battlefield, and we're sitting there. It is 9 o'clock, pitch black kind of deal. I mean, I'm not, like, there's no star in the sky, and all this mist started really rolling in. And, I mean, if you want to see it, too, go to my Rosella C. Rowell page. It is posted there, the entire day's events, everything that happened to us. Here's the weird thing, too. When I tried to post the day part of the cannon, it never posted, and then posted a picture that I didn't even put up. So that was really interesting. I noticed that it was messing with my phone only when we were there that day. So, yeah, it's all not in order. But when you see me the day from the cannon, that happened first, then the cannon at night. But we're sitting there in the car, and I turned off the car eventually. Now, my car is a 2020. Never had a problem with my car, ever. Like, we're just sitting there. It was the two of us in the dark. It was kind of scary because people were passing us really fast. Like, they come flying past you, like, pretty much 50, 80 miles an hour, and it's dark. So I left my lights on. And then Misty said that she wanted my brights on because she couldn't see for filming. And I think that's what happened. So I turned my brights on, I turned off the car for probably about 20 minutes. Okay, not very long. The video that I posted, like, which is my terror video, we were very happy and having a good time, me and her joking around, and then it was like that's like 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden everything goes wrong. So the lights start to turn, they start to blink. My headlights start to blink on and off. My windshield wipers start to go off by themselves, and then the only thing that didn't malfunction was the horn didn't go crazy, but all this stuff gets pushed to me from, like, the dash, because it's all completely electric now, right? I have Apple CarPlay. And so the CarPlay starts saying weird things, saying, like, cannot display. And I'm like, what? Cannot display? And then the car completely dies. Boom. Pitch black. My video, you can hear us in the video, but it cuts out. And I haven't moved the phone. at all, but it just cuts out. So you can just only hear us talking. But then on the dash, it starts like saying things like, when it snows, I notice that the camera in the back sometimes will say like, can't function, basically like because of the snow, like cannot function or something like that. I started to say that. Then it started to say weird things I've never seen before, like auto screenplay, things like weird stuff. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then it said like manufacturer's issue. It told me to check my car, like change my oil. Your car needs, your oil change kind of things like that coming up, maintenance. And it just shut down again. So Misty's like, you gotta, it's just a battery. And I'm like, but I've never had problems with this battery. We only sat here with the car lights on for 20, 25 minutes possibly. We didn't do anything else. It was very strange. And I just started flipping out. I usually am the person who remains cool in the situation, but I felt 4 of them coming in at an angle towards my hood, like my headlight that was on that side of the cannon. And then I looked over and Misty couldn't see it, but I could. The mist all came in big time, so much that you couldn't really even see outside the car. But what I did see was Raphael, my angel, who's always with me, standing outside the car with his hands in the air, like blocking and like meaning real business, and his wings were up, like stay away, stay away. And he was just backing them off, protecting us. And then this is crazy. My friend who had just died, used to be a firefighter, drops into the back of my car seat because I'm like in the back of the seat, basically behind me on where my son usually sits. And because I screamed out, Bobby Shook, like is his name. I said, "Where are you? This is your territory. Get the police." And then he drops in literally from heaven and goes, "What the Sam hell you do now?" And I'm like, "Help!" It's just like terrifying. It was so dark. I'm like, we are about to be in a horror movie from hell. It was like the horriblest situation. Your mind's going crazy. And then I called the police. The police came. It took them an hour, but they came. And it was like the craziest experience. So I had to pee so bad, though. Because at the restaurant, all I had was a wine and a water, really. And a little bit of an appetizer. It wasn't much. I had to go so bad. So the officer was really nice. They're like probably mid-30s. And he's like, "Ma'am, I won't watch. I swear." And I was like, "Okay. Now I'm just making sure there's no cameras like around this car." Because I know that there's cameras. And he's like, No. It's in the front and I have to push this button to initiate it. So you're okay. I swear I'm not even looking. I'm not acknowledging you're doing this. So I literally go around to the back of the freaking car, the police car. And I'm like peeing on the battlefield in the dark. It is now raining. Looking at the back of this cop's license plate going, "You think you got me? I'm going to get you so bad tomorrow, though. Guess who is actually going up and you're still freaking here. So I've already won." It was so bad. I'm like, I'll never forget this for the rest of my life. I will be sitting on a damn cloud in heaven. And they're going to be like, "Remember when you were peeing in the battlefield in Gettysburg in the dark? Look at the back of the cop." And I'm like, oh, burning. So we go back.
You've got to realize you had about 50 ghosts.
It was horrible.
At the 2 of you.
Yeah.
It wasn't just 4. It was 5-0. Because the picture that she showed,
I blocked the rest.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I had to for my sanity.
The Union soldiers were on the other hill like, what the hell's that lady doing?
I know. These idiots went on the other side alone.
She put pictures up on her Rosella page. You gotta check it out because, and in one of those
you
pictures,
can see them rising.
You can see. There's from the way I'm seeing it, there's 2 people in behind the cannons, 2 cannons that are in the picture. But behind them, at quite some distance, there's one row of people off to the left of the picture, but off to the right, there's 2 rows, and you're looking at a between the two people at the front and all the rows behind them. And that's exactly what I kept getting when I saw this picture, was that the ghosts believe it's nighttime all the time, or pretty much all the time. And so it makes sense. Yeah, it makes perfect sense when you said it, that it was, that they were in the dark. And I'm like, yeah, it wasn't just nighttime for us. Yeah. It was nighttime for them, but they're in, and you spot
they're
on with all your stuff. Yeah. I mean, but I couldn't believe the amount. You can actually see the whites of the, I call them socks. I don't know what else to call them. But it's like you can see the uniforms.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. I mean, that's why I posted, like, what do you guys see? It's like, without me saying what I think, influencing it, I'm like, what does everybody else see? And you can see it. Like, now Misty's like the whole time, like, oh, it's just a mist. And I'm like, hey, you can see there's clear objects, like even like, big, huge, like kind of rectangular, like thing, like lots of shapes were being formed that were like, they were not misty things that could be. I mean, mist is like, spreadable cloud. This was like shapes coming out of it. So you could tell. And so, this is funny. We go back to the hotel after the cops, like, we charged the car and they jumped us. It came to life, like pretty much right away. Well, that's another thing. Oh, yeah. So like my hood, they make Hondas really strange now. That there is a cover over top of the engine and like where you jump basically the car. And they were asking me, like, they're like, what? This car is so different. And I'm like, yeah, these damn 2020s. Honda, really pissed that they changed everything. But the hood, the like cover of it was plastic and it wouldn't go back on. And I'm like, I'm exhausted. I came back though after I peed behind a cop car and was like, well, now you know what? I kind of felt like I got my energy, like I took my energy back, and I'm like, I'm not going to let them win. And the two cops were working on the car. Car was turned on. It was good. Everything's fine. They couldn't get, though, that plastic thing on. And I was like, I'm tired. I usually ask permission to do this, but I did not care at the moment. So I took my hand out and I started doing my thing. And because the guy's like, I cannot get this this thing to pop out so it comes down and will latch onto the top. And it was stuck. And I'm like, I knew that those asses were doing it, like the ghosts were doing it.
Yeah.
To keep us there. So I just took my hand out and I started kind of doing my energy thing, like how I kind of do my energy healing and things like that. And I did it so discreetly that they couldn't see it. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm just using all I got. Pop! I see the thing pops right out in front of all of our faces. And the cop goes, holy shit, that's really cool. All right. And he just writes it on, like just boom, goes right onto the cover. And he's like, okay, you're on your way. So we went driving. We drove around Gettysburg, literally the whole town, for like 30 minutes just to charge the car because I didn't want any problems in the morning. And we go to sleep, everything. I filmed a video just telling people, like, what the heck happened, like, post cops showing up and everything, because my video went dead. And it was, like, insane. It was just crazy. I'm like, just so nobody has this idea to kind of do this again, because they were so mad. I got my rods out, and then I heard, you damn Yankees. And I knew then. It was all on purpose, because I'm like, my car never has a problem. I mean, I called my husband, and I'm like, what the hell do I do? Because he's not with me before if I've ever had, like, an issue. But I've never had a problem with that car. And he's like, the car shouldn't do this. The car shouldn't do this. So it was really strange. But we went back the next day. We toured the Eisenhower house, which is actually right behind that cannon, right behind it. And so we ended up coming out the back way behind that field. And Misty's like, we're going to show it who's boss. It cannot win. We're driving by. I said, I'll drive by. I'm not stopping the car. Now, the whole park was like it was like the battlefield. That park was full. So we drive by. I lower my window, flick it off with Misty. In unison, we say, F you to the ghost. You did not win. And we went by. we went through. And then we ended up having a fabulous time. Nothing went wrong the rest of the whole trip. But yesterday I had some really interesting things happen because my son lost his coat when I was gone. And then I had angels telling me the whole day, it's in the home, it's in the home. And I'm like, what the heck does that mean? I'm looking all around my whole house. Is it in the family room? Is it in this room? Do you guys not distinguish what rooms are called? And they're like, no, we can't tell you. It's just in the home. I'm like, what the heck's going on? Well, it occurs to me when I'm driving my son to CCD that where he has CCD was the original church in town. And they built the new modern church right next to it. And I'm like, oh, it's God's home. That's the home. And as I said it, and I mean, you guys probably know too, like the video I use a lot with my reading videos is the video, the music behind it is called Angel. And I think it's called The Angel. And I use the song repetitively because it's angel stuff and I'm doing angel readings. Well, that song comes on the radio. And I'm like, what the heck? And then all of a sudden I started thinking of my friend Alice. I was like, I got to call her and tell her that this just happened. I think I figured out what the code is because I was telling her earlier I was so upset that my son lost his coat. He's autistic. He really likes his coat. And honestly, it's weird. He never takes it off. So I'm really was upset, scouring my husband and I for 4 hours, probably the whole house, in between the whole day, looking for this coat, calling the school, making them go through all their lost and found. It was crazy. So when I figured this out, I'm like, I gotta text or call Alice. And all of a sudden she texts me out of nowhere. And I'm like, oh my God, the song. And now she texted me out of nowhere. And I knew she was busy with her kids, so she normally wouldn't do that. So that was really weird. So I'm pulling up into the church. And then all of a sudden my phone gets taken over. And it was Amazon music came on out of nowhere. And Bon Jovi's Living on a Prayer comes on. And I'm like, okay, all right, you guys got me. I was like, now Raphael, my angel is just beating me over the head with, it's in this is God's house, it's inside. I get out, and it's raining. I start to take out my umbrella, which is one of those button shoot ones, it just pops open. I push the button, and then it looks like it starts to, push out, and then stops, it's almost it hits something, in the air, but there's nothing there. So I'm jiggling the umbrella, what the heck? And my son's face was precious because he was right there. And he's like, oh my God. Because he saw it shoot and stop. And it's a brand new umbrella. So it's not done that before. We've pretty much only used it 4 times in the past few months that we've had it. And so his jaws dropped to the ground. And it's raining. And I'm like, okay, Raphael, I understand. It's inside the house. Now I understand what you mean. And I shook the umbrella again, and then the umbrella pops out. I walk in, I'm like, it's in this place now. It's in there. I walk in the door, and a woman who hasn't been there for a year and a half suddenly that night is there, who's in charge of the whole program. And I said, all right, did my son leave his coat? And she goes, this one? Hands it right to me. And I just looked up and I said, all right, angels, you got me. It was an angel wing slap moment. It's in the house. And I'm like, the last few days have been the most wild, crazy spiritual days of my life. It was nuts. So that's my, long story. As short as I could make it, sadly. But it has been very, very insane. Everywhere you go, there's a lot of witchy stuff, too, I have to say, metaphysical, witchy things, spell things, psychic mediums everywhere around Gettysburg, which I did not suspect. But there was 4 metaphysical stores and readers everywhere. People were extremely open and we didn't meet a bad person. Everybody, besides being almost killed at the horse and buggy tour, we were good. It was the spirits that did not like us.
Yeah, they can get pretty intense, to say the least.
Yeah, it was
no wonder you guys felt so awful while you were sitting in the car. I mean, to have that many ghosts coming at you.
Yes. And when you feel it, you're like, okay, You're trying to pretend you're normal for a minute, which was my problem. I should have just got the hell out of there and stopped pretending I was the normal person, because I'm like, this isn't happening. And I felt it and I denied it. And I got thrown in my face. Like, no, you want this? You're not going to get it. And we're just going to keep coming at you. Yeah. But, you know,
stand firm.
And I wonder if we were men, if it would have been different. You know, even Yankee men, you know, I just wonder if it would have been different in that aspect. Because two helpless females, we were the easiest targets. You know?
Well, I wonder if they would have attacked you in a different way, though.
Right.
That's what I was wondering, too.
That is...
Apparently they know how to work. Apparently they know how to start screwing with the electronics of a vehicle. The only time I've ever had something like that, Rosella, happen is when I had... she was not the first person buried in a cemetery, but she was basically the one that had everybody rounded up, so to speak. And she literally would not allow our vehicle. We couldn't get into it.
Oh man!
I mean, it got really bad until she literally made me promise to deal with the situation on that cemetery. It took 2 years, but I did, and we saved a lot of souls. But
that's not I've heard that story like the other day from another friend who they were trying to get in the car from the cemetery, and the car was locked down and the headlights kept going off. And then the girl who drove it 2 years later got in a horrible car accident and died. So
Jesus.
I got told I was lucky. I'm like, oh, God. So
yeah, I mean, those can do when they want attention in whatever fashion or form. They will find a way to make it known. And electronics, it's obvious because some of the ones that I dealt with from that cemetery were from, well, some were from before Civil War and others were during Civil War.
Oh.
So I had a lot of different, most of them were sailors, not all of them, some of them townsfolk and everything. But the point being, wow. Yeah, I've experienced it myself. If they want you gone, they're going to find a way to make you gone, make the point to deliberately scare you, to frighten you, to get you to go. And I mean, it's evident by the fact of what you heard regarding the damn Yankee quote and the other things that you felt and saw and experienced. So, yeah, I mean,
we wondered too, like, is the battlefield thing with the truck, was that paranormal? Somebody else had said that to me too. Like, do you think that was trying to get rid of you? We had just gotten there, you know. So that was the first inkling. Then the restroom and the cannon where the stick figure appeared. Then the bathroom, trying to maybe scare me even more. And then, boom, we're over the battlefield. So it was all in one vicinity, you know. Like, it was very close. So it's very interesting because I'm not sure.
Have you checked yourself since returning for any stragglers?
Yeah, I mean, I did make sure that I didn't have anything. I will say, though, I want to note this. My phone has not been the same. My phone was plugged in to the car when I was doing that video because it was on the charger. So what happened, like, when the phone cut dead and everything, somebody said, well, the phone was plugged into your car, and then they zapped your car, right? So it went through the cord into your phone. My phone, Facebook, like I said, Facebook, just on my Rosella page, I kind of noticed, was posting 2 videos of the same videos at the time. Like, I have my podcast one, A Haunting Good Time, and then Rosella C. Rao. And it posted 2 videos twice, which I'm like, I didn't even do that. Like, I would have noticed that I was doing that. That was really strange. It seemed to have a mind of its own. And then like I said, the other video, I put a video up there and it put a picture. I'm like, well, wait a minute. And then even Misty said, no, you put the video up. I watched you. And I'm like, yeah, but now I'm looking at it and it's not the video. And I couldn't take the picture down to put the video up. It would not let me. The volume on my phone doesn't work the same sometimes. The phone just freezes. Never had a problem with my phone.
So it sounds like you might have to do a factory reset on your phone.
I might. Yeah. I mean, right now I bought sage spray and I'm going to do a cleanse on the car and try to hit my phone with it, like turn my phone off and then hit my phone with it.
How many boys do you have?
Boys? You mean children?
Children, boys, yes.
Just one. Just one. My son.
You got a 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old male.
Well, see, that's the bathroom guy. That was the bathroom. I feel like I'm being checked on. I don't feel like they kind of necessarily followed me home. I feel like it's a drop-in situation. Probably because I'm also talking about it to people, you know. So I don't feel like he's there all the time. But also, Raphael's with me.
Yeah, it's not like
you feeling Raphael?
No, Raphael. The angels feel different. Okay, so when I have angel experiences, they feel very different. Their energy is completely different than a spirit, than a ghost.
Yeah, me too. I mean, he often appears young, though. That's why I asked.
No, what I'm picking up is, it's like he's half uniform, half not uniform. It's not like he's from the time period, but yet he sort of is. I don't understand that. Anyway, that's what I got.
That's interesting.
But it doesn't feel like he's... It's like he's watching from above. It's not like...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah, it's not like he's walking on the floor throughout the house. It's like he's floating from different corners of different rooms. Just observing.
Yep.
It's like there's something that you did that piqued his interest.
I can see that.
But to me, he's like... His energy is mentality. His mentality is young.
Oh, okay.
He's got life experiences, but his mentality is young.
Well, remember Bobby Shook just died. He was 82. He would have been 82 on May 1st. And he is like a child. I mean, we call him a man-child all the time when he was alive. He's a big kid. And he has been appearing to my other medium friends 17 to 19 years old. That's kind of what he's in protection mode. He kind of just hovers above, checks on me, drops in. So that's why I was like, maybe that's what you're picking up on.
I keep getting though is like there's a partial uniform this person is wearing, but
he was not a firefighter.
It's not okay. That must be it because it's like from the waist up. That's what I'm picking up on, but from like the waist down, I can't determine. Like I can't figure out if it's a genes or if it, but yet it feels too early for the genes. I don't know how to explain it. It's just. But
no, that makes sense because he wore uniform everywhere.
There is a uniform with what I'm picking up on. So.
I think that's Bobby. I swear, it sounds exactly. Okay. He used to wear jeans and joke around that he would put on the top of part of his uniform and take pictures on picture day, kind of thing. That's exactly what I think you're seeing. He was a big child, big child. I feel like nobody is really with me. I feel like that hovering thing, but then I'm like, I swear it's got to be Bobby because I don't feel like it's negative. And
no, it's not negative at all. There's no negative, no detrimental.
He's just there.
Yeah, he's just there. The person, whoever it is, and they're so distant. They're like, I just want to observe.
That is what he's been doing, I think, since I got back. Yeah, that is exactly right. Yeah, it's Bobby.
Anyway, well, I'm glad I said something.
Yeah, no, it makes me feel better because I'm like, hey man, protect my butt. I keep telling him, protect my butt, okay? I need your help, but don't be a hero. I will scream out. And I swear, when he dropped in that car, he goes, his famous line was, what the Sam hell did you do now? He always blamed the ghost activity on me. Because every time I come in, he's like, those ghosties, they only come when you're here, Rosella. They only come. So he's like, what the Sam hell did you do now? And I'm like, I'm so sorry, Mommy. Help! It's like, oh, man. It's so funny. And Misty's all like, what is he saying? What is he saying? Because he was both of our friend and stuff. So she knew him so well. But yeah, I've been saying like literally every night since I got back, like, protect my ass, protect my ass.
Yeah, I mean, it makes, especially when you're going to a battlefield. I mean, anything to deal with any kind of war, you want to really go in packing and protecting yourself. And I totally understand when you were talking about how tired you were.
Gosh,
and how drained you were, and then it's like you got the second wave, second boost, and boom, you're off and running. So, I mean, I completely understand that. That's usually when I get nailed too. When I'm that tired, and it doesn't mean that my protection levels are lower. It just means that I'm tired and I need to recharge for a little bit, and sure as shit, here they come.
Yeah.
They're like, we got you. I'm like, back up, because you don't want to piss me off.
It was, I mean, even my other friend she has gifts, she was like, she said the same kind of thing that you said, like, she's like, oh, like, it's like a gene feeling when I sit. Like, it's very strange. And he's all around you, and I'm like, Bobby shook. I'm like, good, keep protecting me, because I know that I need that protection now. Like, I couldn't do it that's the first time I think that I felt like I kind of couldn't do it on my own, because there were so many of them. It was overwhelming.
And they did intend to.
Yeah.
That I know. I mean, when I saw that picture, I was like, what is off about that picture? And then there was another picture, but it was just slightly different, and that's the one where I saw everything in. And I picked up the first sensation from the first picture, but wow, the second picture you've got, I mean, you can see them. And the amount, my God, the amount of them. That's what it was like, oh my God, this reminds me of when I was a kid. One of the reasons why I got so, I commend you, because I can't do what you did.
I was trying to be all brave.
I get so overwhelmed. So the fact that you could go in and the fact that you got pictures.
That's true.
Before your phone, before the car got hit, before the phone got nailed, you got pictures. And that, I think, is what was wanted. Because weren't you, something to the effect of, weren't you told that you gotta go back and do the cannons? Yeah,
and Robert said to me even beforehand, he sent me a message saying, I'm getting it over here in this field. And I'm like, I'm drawn to it too. And and his idea was that I was pulled in by these entities way before I came to pretty much like make a mockery of the Yankee kind of situation. And I think that possibility would happen. Yeah, huge problem. I mean, they know you're coming before you know you're coming. They know everything.
I'm going to tell you something. About a month ago, I actually verbally said I'd love to see the fairies again. In the last week and a half, and especially last night, holy crap, they've been on the top of my head, braiding my hair with what I don't know, because I can feel the braid, but I'm like, okay, I can feel the physical part of it, but when I look at it in the mirror, there's no freaking braid there. But yet when I feel it with my fingers, I can feel, and I'm like, so what are you doing braiding my hair? And then last night I had two major incidences And I felt them periodically on my arms again. But yesterday morning and then yesterday night, I'm trying to think of how far apart. It must have been about 8-9 hours apart from each other. I had one on my left arm, and they feel like when they land, they feel like really large mosquitoes.
Oh.
And that's what catches your attention, is the sensation of a very large mosquito. You don't hear any buzzing. You don't hear. I felt the air on my arm, and I was like,
That's weird.
What was that? And because periodically the ETs will come in and do an inoculation, which I get really pissed off at them over. And then the second one I had was on my right arm, and I did get stuck with a needle.
Ooh.
And I'm looking at my arm going, okay, there's something here, but that's not it. Because where I got nailed just away from where I normally a vein that is the vein that always the nurses always go after. Same vein. And I'm like, what did you just stick me with? And I'm looking there and I'm going, okay, I'm not seeing you, but I can feel the air that you're flapping your wings. I could feel that. And then I could feel the landing again, and then it disappeared. And then within seconds, I'm feeling like I had just gotten an inoculation from the ETs. But this was from the fairies, and I'm going, okay, what are you guys setting me up for, and what am I being protected for?
Oh,
Because
okay.
the last time I had protection from fairies, I ended up on a piece of land that had crossing ley lines. It had Atlantean, brain fart. It had Atlantean stones, gemstones on the property, amongst other things. And a bunch of different types of things. And one group was not happy with me, and the others were like, oh yeah, we like you, you're fine. So, yeah, I don't know.
That's what I felt on the Union side. They're like, oh, hi, that's fine. And the Confederate side, they're like, hell, get out of here.
So, I mean, and that goes back to the cemetery, because they were protecting me, because they were all over the cemetery. It's a whole other thing. But, yeah, when you start having experiences like that, definitely double check and see if you're. I lost my train of thought. So that totally goofed me up. Anyway, just double check everything.
Well, and what I did too when I got back, I got an ionic foot detox too, to try to just get anything out. I'm like, I'm not messing around, but I've been exhausted ever since we got back. Like, I thought maybe it's a full moon, because the last 2 full moons I've been really tired. But even my husband's like, you are sleeping like 3 times a day. I'm like, yeah, I've got to just get things done for the kids, and I go right back to sleep. I'm just zapped. So I'm hoping that after this, like this day, kind of like into tomorrow, I start to rejuvenate some energy. We did walk everywhere though too.
I've got a question for you. Does the moon affect you as a psychic?
Yeah. Pretty much. I mean, I just feel like heightened, I guess I'll say. A lot of, kind of like bad. I have a lot of things that just kind of like bad things happen, I guess, around people when they're around me during a full moon. It might not necessarily be me, but I always joke that the full moon is my Murphy's Law. Like, that's when every Murphy's Law starts to happen. Like, okay, I'm running really late. Now I got a train. The train's in my way. Just that kind of stuff. It's like little things that add up to, they're very frustrating. And then that takes your energy too. So I'm like, okay, what is it really? So it's exhausting.
Well, one of the reasons why I was asking was because, Nicole, I don't know if you've heard anything about this or not. Somebody was talking about how the moon, how their report has shifted.
The moon has shifted?
Actually shifted. The moon has shifted, and I want to know if anybody has ever heard of that yet.
That is interesting.
It's only been coming out since the eclipse.
Well, and people have said, have you been messed up since the eclipse? And yes, I have. And the day after the eclipse was the day that Bobby died. So I woke up feeling terrible that day, couldn't figure out why I felt so terrible. And people were telling me, well, because of your gifts after the eclipse, the moon shifted. So it's in a different kind of place, and that's why you feel so strange. And I'm like, oh, well then 2 hours later, I heard right then that Bobby had died, which does not surprise me actually at all. I literally had a reading that day of the eclipse. Actually, it was like 7 o'clock at night, where my friend Rick pulled out some cards and he said he's going to die. And I hoped that it would be May, because to make it to his birthday, because it's May 1st. But the next day, poor Bobby was gone. But you know what? He has protected me so much. I can't imagine that he was not there during that horrible time for me. So, in a way, nature has worked out to do what it's supposed to do, and I think he's not in pain and happier for sure now. He keeps telling me. But yeah, this moon thing is really weird. Like, Cole, do you know anything about, like, is it in a different position than normal?
Not that I fucking know. Like, I've heard some people say since the eclipse they see a white light in front of it when they try and look at it, but
Well, the stuff that I've been hearing, they're talking about how it's like it's out of alignment, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, I've heard
and
that.
They're saying that the pictures in the exact same spot on Earth, the pictures are taken from the exact same spot every time, and it's the moon is shifted, and people are getting rather concerned about it, and it hasn't made any of the big news yet.
there'd be a reason for that.
Well, I'm sure.
Because the problem is, if the moon actually shifted, the consequences that we would have here on Earth are astronomical.
And that's what that's why I'm like, okay, if it has actually done that, then why are we not having serious
What I would
issues?
ask is,
I don't even know if anybody else has heard it.
how many of these people use the same camera to take pictures of the eclipse? And then how many of them check their lenses afterwards?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all the normal photography stuff.
Yeah, because if you don't check your lenses, friend, there is a possibility you burnt out a lens.
Yeah.
Friend. But no, I honestly do believe that if the moon did shift in some way and there was no consequences that we have felt, NASA would be on it and they'd actually advertise that, because they would think it's the coolest thing ever that the moon has moved but we don't feel anything from it. That's an insane thing.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I'm like a huge moon. I do moonology, and I work with the moon all the time, trying to like understand. It's really because I feel like I get so much basically wiped out energy wise during a full moon. However, when the gibbonous moon started to kick in, I felt a lot better. Like when it's in gibbonous or gibbous, I'm probably pronouncing it wrong because the word is in front of me right now. I was born underneath that, so I get my energy back. But when it is like a full moon, new moon situation, I am zapped. So I kind of wondered, what is it, the trip, or is it the full moon kind of thing? Because it really does affect me. And I've been told that I am from the moon all the time, from the angels. And that's why I have this interesting energy. I don't know what that means. So
I do.
Oh, you do? You want to tell me later?
Yeah, that's not something for a public conversation.
Okay. I figure with your face that you were gonna like, uh-oh. But yeah,
It's not a bad thing. It's just something you don't hear very often. And if the angels are telling you this,
yeah, my son and me. That's
Yeah.
what they said. This has been a few years ago, and I'm like, what the hell does that mean? And then my daughter's so mad because the angels didn't say she was. And I'm like, well, mommy's exhausted. So, like, it's a good thing you're not. Whatever it is. I'm exhausted. So, but, you know, yesterday my stuff was like, I mean, all my psychic abilities were extremely heightened. I will say, like, music came through really strong, and it was like I could feel it in my stomach, even though it wasn't very loud. My friend was playing it. I'm like, can you turn that down? Because I can't stand it. I feel like the energy is going to burst out of my stomach. And they're like, oh, God, okay. And then they did, and I was fine. But certain things have been going on. And I'm like, well, is it the trip? You know, what is it? So, and I'm a mom. So you get everything dropped back like you get dropped back into your life. So it's like, okay, I have to do all the mom stuff, and I'm dying because I'm tired. Just need to kind of recoup, and there's no time because I have a psychic fair this weekend. My daughter has her first dance, so it's like crazy.
I'm going to send you a list of some supplements.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Help get you through and help with electrolytes.
Thanks.
I have a good one, actually, that I just told my dad to start taking because he was out of energy. And it's a mixture of cocaine and Adderall.
Oh, my
God.
Holy crap.
You'll go for days.
Jesus. I mean, it's bad when Diet Coke won't work. I'm like, I have drank 2 Diet Cokes and I could fall asleep. So, it's just been crazy. But I will say, if you guys are, anybody's ever interested in going to Gettysburg, like, it is a really interesting experience. There's endless things to do. Like, the restaurants were insane. They were all good. They were wonderful. Prices were crazy expensive, just not what I expected. I mean, it was $18 for chicken fingers and fries. Like, it was
state?
crazy.
$18?
$18 for, like, 2 chicken fingers and French fries. And it was
Aren't you a little bit out in the middle of nowhere at that point? Because I don't know how.
It is. Yeah.
I don't know how where it is in relation to big cities, and I know what it was in the Civil War era. I just don't know what it is in relation to
Okay.
spreading out. So
yeah. So it's an hour away from Hagerstown. Is probably the biggest, what you would call kind of like town city. DC is an hour and a half away.
Right.
So yeah, because I went to college in a university in Maryland, and we drive that way all the time to go see my in-laws because they still live there. But it is in the middle of nowhere in terms of driving, but there's a lot of little towns surrounding it. They said that if you went 11 miles, past the battlefield, basically, that you would hit Maryland. So Maryland is not far.
Right.
So it did take us a really strange way in and then a strange way out, which I had never taken before because it took us to Hagerstown, different from when we came in. But then there are a lot of Amish out there, which I never realized before. So lots of Amish in the towns around it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, then there's a psych. I'm gonna probably pronounce it wrong because it's not in front of me again. But this a psychorama that they have, and it's really interesting. When I was 11, when we were on our DC tour, they took us to that, and that was the big thing that I remembered. And then we walked outside, and then I saw what I thought was a reenactment. And my friends, I thought, were being really disrespectful because they pretended to me that it wasn't there. And I mean, I think I was mad at them for days. How disrespectful, because this is not how I was raised. That kind of thing. And they're like, we didn't see it. You're crazy. So I did that. I did walk out, went to that, and it was really cool. And then we walked out, and Misty was like, is this where you saw it? So seeing it from a different perspective was different because they literally have a whole new building. So they knocked everything down around that psychorama. and it is completely different. So they have like a saloon, they have a restaurant, they have a cafe, they have like a huge bookstore kind of thing. Saw like an author who wrote Gettysburg's like novels there, so that was really cool. There's a lot to do, but I will say if you do, it's a museum. That's the museum and visitor center in the Psychorama, and if you do that, it takes like a day. We had to rush through there in a way because it just took so long, and we were probably there for like, I'd say over 3 hours without eating the food, anything there. But it's very depressing. Like they show you, it's kind of cool because they show you all of the artifacts, and this is what a Union Union soldier would wear. This is what Confederate. This is the artillery. This is all this, and like what they would wear. The difference between the cannons, if one was real. So when we were on the battlefield, we knew if it was a real cannon that was used that day or not. We knew. Right. So when we were up next to the haunted one, that was a real cannon because it had the lettering around it, and you could tell. So I do have like an up close picture too that I can probably post on there. But it has all the lettering. It's extremely faded, of course. But it's interesting. So we were so educated from that tour. The tour guide was amazing. He was awesome. And all the things that we read. There's a ton to do. But I tell people if you're going to go for like a week and really be into it and, energy up. Like, I brought electrolytes everywhere with me because I was just like, I need this. And we just kind of stopped in, like you get appetizers some places because it's just so expensive that it's like I'm sharing your food, Like a burger was like $27. No crap. Chicken one night at this one place we ate at I think it was the Dodds Inn or Dubbin Inn. It was the last night. We could only get a reservation for $8:15 at night. And we definitely should have gone for lunch. Don't go for dinner. The waitress was really rude. I got chicken, which was sadly the cheapest thing on the menu, and it was $40 for chicken and potato.
Yeah,
it was insane.
It's a captive audience, and you're there for the tourism, so they know what they got. Yeah, they're taking advantage of you.
Yeah, but it was bad.
But to be fair, what happened to that town for those 3 days? Well, actually, more than that, because then they had to do the cleanup afterward. Because the army took off. The army's left.
Yeah.
And you still have people that are still alive and dying out in these fields.
Yeah.
And they're having to go out and they're having to bury all these bodies just wherever they can find them. They said
horses, the snake was so bad.
Mules. Their own townspeople were murdered that first few days when they didn't have any idea when it's just all of a sudden, hey, we're rolled into town. Oh, we're screwed. So, yeah.
Well, actually, only one person got killed. One citizen. No, Janie. Janie Wade. Jenny Wade, actually. So, but everybody says Janie, but it's Jenny, I found out. And I have a picture of that house as well on the Rosella, I think, page. But her house is there, and if you zoom in, you can see a bullet hole. It's pretty cool. But she was the one. She got frustrated, and it was 7:30 in the morning, I think, and she wanted to feed the family because it was actually her sister's house. It's not her house. When they say the Jenny Wade house, it is not her house. It was her sister's house, we learned. And her sister had just had a baby, and she was there helping her sister. And that is when the war, they all invaded that day. Yeah, she went up the stairs to feed the family and make bread and was literally kneading dough. And there was a sniper who shot her from far away trying to shoot a Union officer who was standing in front of the door. Mm-hmm. So what happened was he missed him, and the door went into the door and killed her, instantly killed her. And the sad thing is she was 19, and it would have been her fiancé. Her boyfriend was going to propose to her the night before, but got delayed because all the war stuff started happening. and then they never got engaged, and he died on the field. Like 2 days later. So it was really crazy.
It's one of the great. It's so much of our history. How things could have changed had Pickett's charge succeeded, or day two, if Little Round Top had fallen. I know the Civil War stuff. This doesn't have anything to do with the topic at hand, but this is my nerddom. I was big into Gettysburg for a while back in the early, late aughts, I guess, and so yeah, it's a fascinating. Just the amount of carnage that was inflicted upon that area, just unfathomable.
Right. And all the egos that come into play, because it was really an ego collision, of course.
Right.
And the Stickle guy, who is the person who would have changed everything if he would have listened to orders.
Right.
And he wouldn't listen to orders because, I mean, he's a massive narcissist who actually, he ended up murdering his wife. His wife's having an affair.
And he's the first person to ever get away with the
murder
insanity plea.
Yes, and they said, so the tour guide, he joked, he goes, well, the day that O.J. Simpson died, I started saying this murder case on the tour because it was the only thing I could compare it to. And he was like, yeah, this is exactly, what happened. This is the first case. And he actually he went around proclaiming he was the war hero forever, lost a limb, of course. So he guilted everybody with that, like, I lost this limb in the war, I'm a hero. But he is stripped of any kind of mention in the entire museum, in the Psychorama, everything. There is nothing on there. I only saw his name on one map out of hundreds in that museum. And
odd.
None of the tour guides would talk about him. Yeah,
notorious or not, I mean, there's a lot of stupidity that went into those 3 days. I mean, Pickett's charge is celebrated, and that's the dumbest thing ever because there was no way that was going to work. It was a suicide rush.
Yeah.
Doomed before it ever began, and yet General Lee sent his people out there. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know why Nichols is any worse. Yeah, any worse than General Lee is, but
I mean, when you look at the strategy, I was like, this is like so easy to tell that this was not going to work. Right. And like I said, it was like a major ego thing, I think. Like, and people were like talking bad trash about Lee, but the thing is, I think that also you got to, if you think about it in this perspective, you're given a job and a task, and you can't fail. They showed these people who, like, if you ran, right? Like if you ran away from the war, like you tried to hide, that kind of thing.
Yep.
They would find you and then shoot the shit out of you. Like you'd be shot dead. So, and they had pictures, drawings of 4 officers lined up in front of 4 soldiers who had run, and they got caught, and they were shooting them. So that was like posted everywhere. So you didn't do this. This is your warning. Right. It was just like a very hard time. I can't imagine having this side and this strategy kind of like, I have to win. It has to work. Like, I think it was like, I'm so hopeful that it has to work because I can't get shot from this. I can't go down. It was Confederacy's last big gamble. They needed it because if they'd wiped out the Union Army there, if they'd wiped out that particular group of it, they had a clear shot to DC. I mean, it wasn't going to be clear. They were going to have of course there was going to be opposition along the way, but it was going to be significantly easier. Plus, they were running out of resources in Virginia. They kept fighting. All these wars were being fought on the South Shore, and they were depleting their own resources. So that's why they crossed over initially. They needed to go and to this Maryland, the Pennsylvania countryside to go get like they were living off the land. That's how they worked, and they were looking for shoes. I think I don't know what the official.
it's kind of an off again, on again. People are, I don't know what they say at Gettysburg, but it was supposedly there was a Confederate group and heard there was shoes that were stored in Gettysburg, going to look for them, and they sort of one like scouting party ran into another scouting party, and then all of a sudden things start kicking off, and
Yeah,
it's
because
like,
they were
okay,
never supposed to be there. Never supposed to be in Gettysburg. So I thought that was interesting. That all happened in like 2 days' time.
both sides just ran to it, like, okay, here we go.
Yeah. Like, oh, this is going to be perfect. We're going to all... And they both seem to have the mentality that they were going to get each other. That the other person didn't know that they were there. But I'm like, you have scouts, you guys. Like, they know. So it's really interesting, too, without GPSs, without internet, without cell phones, like technology, how this actually all happened. And then you can see yet, because you didn't have that, how it fell apart.
Well, you know, and to sell it all off, one of the heroes of the last day was George Custer.
Yeah.
The same Custer that was, you know, got wiped out at Little Bighorn. But he was there, and he actually outfoxed the Confederate cavalry guy that had been running, J.E.B. Stewart, or Jeb, you know, but Jeb Stewart had been running circles around the Union Army for months and had just been terrorizing them. And Custer comes in and whoops them in one day. Like, okay, that's it. And then Custer
goes. It was interesting because the last day that we were there was only one, I think, little mini movie, because they had tons of them there. I couldn't believe it, in that museum. And Custard was mentioned. And I'm like, you know, I grew up in the history books reading about Custard my whole childhood. So where is the mention of Custard?
Yeah.
And then Misty said the same thing, and I only saw it in one little tiny, blip. A ton of it is focused on Lincoln and Gettysburg, and of course how his address was really more pissed people off than anything, because he threw reality in everybody's face.
Right.
And that really hindered him, basically. And he actually wasn't supposed to be there. They didn't even know, even 2 hours before the event, if he would actually show up, because he was scheduled to be somewhere else. And there was a main speaker that day, and he actually ended up talking after the main speaker. And then you don't even hear who the main speaker was. Like, I never found it. I'm like, they keep saying this, but who the heck was the main speaker? Because it's not anywhere.
He went on 2 hours. He had a 2-hour speech that he gave, and then Lincoln comes on afterwards and just gives the Gettysburg Address, and it's short to the point, and he walks off.
He walks off.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure he just rode right out of town. We did see where he stayed. It was interesting because they have and I have pictures up kind of it too, of him. They have a huge statue of him in front of where he stayed and where he finished writing his speech, kind of thing. And he's supposed to be giving directions to the American tourist, the modern American tourist today. So it's kind of interesting. So Misty walked up to the statue and acted like she was looking at the map, trying to understand it. It was funny. I took a picture, and she's being goofball. But it was interesting. She's like, I don't understand why modern day. And I'm like, I think it's supposed to be the whole symbolism of we should not forget the history that happened here and how it changed our lives in modern day times, because, of what happened and how it did shape the country. The sad thing is that two years later, we're still, it took 2 years to really end the war. So that's just sad. I mean, you saw people without limbs, how skinny they were it was insane how they were skeletons when they were marching into the battle. I mean, there's no way you would survive. It was just horrible.
Dysentery,
Yeah.
They had, believe it or not, they actually had prostitution, these little groups of people that would follow along with the armies, and you'd have prostitutes, and you'd have barbers, basically, whatever the Army set up, they just roll in, and of course, all kinds of diseases connected to all
Oh
of
my
it.
God, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Nikki,
the
why is
kid-
there a penis on your camera?
It looks like a dildo.
What?
It does. I was going to say that earlier.
What the fuck are you looking at? It's aimed up at the goddamn ceiling. What the hell?
I mean, it's funny. They start talking about prostitution and death.
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
It's a light.
It to me.
That's not what it looks like on the thing. I'm like,
Okay.
Nick,
Ceiling light.
It only took us
that's why you're talking about it. Don't get so excited.
it only took us an hour and 30 minutes to hit this point.
I know, right? I'm
This is the
actually
longest
thinking
we've
we're
ever
doing
gone
good.
record.
Oh
So
my god, it's a ceiling light.
It looks like
Oh
a
my-
huge dildo. Oh my God.
See? It's a ceiling
good
light.
job, Cole.
Well, hey,
Way to
Okay.
get us back on track.
S4 has staying power.
We feel better now that the light is turned on. It looks
Yeah.
less scary.
Oh my god,
Okay.
you guys. That's funny.
That's so funny.
What the hell? Oh, that's her
He's
thumb.
dead
Okay, I
busy.
thought there was something else. Dick, yeah, that's what all I saw was your thumb for a second, and I'm like, oh my god, what is that? I didn't see you. I just saw the thumb. I thought it was like I thought it was up the top of the pool.
She just wants you to think it's her thumb.
That's what it is.
That was so hilarious.
Napkin.
Oh my
What
god.
perfect timing. I
Oh.
think the record, an hour and a half. I mean, we've done pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, right.
So funny. Well, has anybody else ever heard of any kind of other haunted stories or anybody? Because I know you guys are on the other side of the country. Has anybody even been to the battlefield then? In this-
Yeah. When
Oh,
I was a
yeah?
kid.
What? I've been to San Jacinto where the revolution wrapped up. And I was on the battleship Texas because they were right next door to each other. But I was a kid, so you know, middle of a Saturday afternoon. I don't think the ghosts were really interested in me. I guess so. But and it's also nearby a bunch of chemical plants. The ghosts are probably like, I'd rather be somewhere else. So,
Yeah.
is, you know, Mickey Gillies from Urban Cowboy was right up the road from there too. So you probably have more interesting ghosts there than you would at the battleground. But I have been to the Alamo, and again, always during the day. The only place I did stay back in '96. The first wife had a conference in San Antonio, and we stayed at Minger Hotel, which is adjacent to the Alamo. Teddy Roosevelt.
You keep being naughty again.
Oh, okay.
I just shut the light off. Give me a break.
But yeah, Teddy Roosevelt recruited Rough Riders at this motel. There's a bar inside the motel, and I remember at the time thinking, this place, if I'm ever going to see a ghost back in the 90s, I was like, if I'm ever going to see a ghost ever, this is where it's going to happen. Nothing. But it was it. We slept in there. It was an old school. I mean, the place looked like it was from way back when. They didn't even have air conditioning. They had air conditioning, but it was, you opened the vent to let the amount of air in that you wanted to get cool. So, yeah, I know it was impressive, but I never, I don't know, seem to have managed to miss it somehow. I don't understand why, but
Well, I've been to the Alamo, and I stayed at that hotel, actually, that they stayed in. Isn't it? God, well, who was it? Roosevelt? Who was? That's not right, right?
yeah. Well, Roosevelt the Minger, yes, the Minger
okay.
where I stayed at, yeah.
Now, he I was in the restaurant and I said to the waitress, and I was actually just pregnant with my daughter. Then I was like almost 3 months pregnant. And I was really massive deep denial still of my gifts, like really blocking. And I felt like Roosevelt was sitting like at the table right in front of us. I said to the waitress that and said, like, have you ever had reports? And she goes, oh, yeah, all the time. People tell us that all the time. Drinks go flying across the bar, break. Things go flying off the tables all the time. If you actually didn't say that to me, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, it was just kind of crazy. So, and it was very short. Like, the ceilings were crazy short. They said there was a lot of prostitution, too, in that place as well. It was it looked like it was like, extremely old, never touched, from that. They never modernized anything. Nothing was different except for putting electricity in. That was it. So it's kind of interesting. I did feel something then, but now, besides Gettysburg, I haven't really been very many places. I think I've been to Fort Sumter, and I didn't really feel that much. But I think now that I'm in tune, it's different.
Right.
So if you would have been an adult going back to those places, I bet you would say something different now. You know what I mean?
Maybe, and if it wasn't so crowded and it wasn't middle of the day, and maybe. I don't know. Like I said, my spiritual tuner is a little out of whack. I blame the beer and probably a knock on the head I got from being thrown out the back of the pickup truck in a gravel pit one time. So, yeah.
Jeez.
But,
somebody met you?
No. Somebody said while we were drinking, hey, you know what would be a good idea? Let's get in the back of this pickup truck. We'll let the other guy drive us into this gravel pit. And then the same guy that said that this was a good idea said, you know what would be even better if we stood up as we drive down into this gravel pit.
Oh, my God.
Now, this is with Budweiser in hand. It's about the time I stood up that I immediately went airborne. And I remember it. I remember it because I saw the stars. And I knew I wasn't in the truck anymore. And I didn't see God, and I didn't see any bright lights. I just saw the stars get further away from me again as I hit the ground. And I'm laying there. And the guy, that guy got thrown out too. He's a big old redneck boy. And he said, all I could hear was, because it was ringing for a few minutes.
Oh!
How long I was there. It was just ringing mares. And then it was like, he walks up to me, and I hear, like, off in the distance, he's right in front of me, but it sounds like he's a mile away, and he's like, I can see his eyes blinking. I think he's alive. Oh my God, he still has the beer in his hand. And he grabs the beer from me, and it still had beer in it. I kept the beer in my hand. It's not a story. I swear on my life. I actually held on. Now, a lot of the beer spilled, but it still had beer in it. So.
Wow, priorities, right?
And I walked away from it. There was a hole. There was a slight indentation. It wasn't a hole. It was like soft ground, but I did land rather hard.
Oh,
so,
God. I see
the
the
first
people
wife
are
was
not calling good friends.
I think she was suggested it to the guy, so I think she was probably trying to kill me, so she wouldn't have to divorce me.
Yes, like, don't hang around these people.
And I could just see her. I'll do stuff to you sexually if you'll just get him to get up in the back of the pickup truck when we go in the gravel pit.
Ooh.
That's probably what happened. But yeah. So.
Oh, wow.
And I lived because, you know what? Beer wins. So. John, what spirits have you run into on a battlefield, John?
John's never been on he's never been on a battlefield.
At all?
Mm-mm.
You've been, no battles in concrete?
Not that I haven't started.
You guys like,
What do you mean, what did you have?
There's something here.
So I have, growing up in Canada, it's different.
Right.
Well, yeah.
Because half my family's white, half's native. So every battlefield we went to, it was my ancestors killing my other ancestors.
Yeah.
One way or the other, right?
Yeah, like, because every battlefield in Canada is a native war.
Right.
So, they all felt rather depressing.
I can imagine.
Well, they're not happy places, no matter what I say. I was like, this is very grim. They're very serious places, yes.
Like, one of our most famous war heroes is considered Louis Riel. Louis Riel was a young man who fought for the native people as a white man. And you can go all over the province of Saskatchewan and they sell pieces of the rope that hung Louis Riel.
Oh, my God.
Because he's considered a rebel.
They sell pieces of the actual rope.
Well, no. Like, Nikki, this is like 200 years ago. The rope...
I know.
After the first 10 days. But,
that was my point.
But they did originally, yes.
Yeah.
There are probably families that still have the actual pieces of the rope.
That's sick. Holy
And
crap.
they're proud to own it.
Yeah. Oh, there.
Oh, no crap. I mean,
There are some. Okay, I'm just going to be blunt about it because I had 2 lifetimes that I can remember so far as a Native American. I've had numerous lifetimes as witches and herbalists and male and female herbalists. And there are reasons you would save sections of hanging rope. Especially if the person lived after being hung. That does happen on very rare occasions, but yeah.
You ever watch that? It wasn't The Magnificent Seven. It was something. It was an Adam Sandler movie, and that kid from Twilight, Taylor Lautner,
Yeah.
they hang him, and he swings for like 5 minutes, and he's like trying to get it to go as high as he can, swinging, because like he's like, I have the strongest neck in the world, see? And like, well, 5 minutes later, his friends show up and shoot the rope, and he's like, "Told you I'd make it."
Jeez.
Friend.
Speaking of Michael J. Fox, don't they do the same thing to him too, or something?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and then Doc uses the what's considered
high-powered rifle that he made.
Yeah. It's considered the first scope.
Oh.
And
I love those movies.
yeah, me too, friend. But yeah, like it was always different going to those. And it's stupid that you could feel the death.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, we visited the area where they like the gallows are still there where they hung Louis Riel, and you feel nothing. It's stupid. I don't get it.
Huh.
Other
Well,
than
maybe
fact-
because he went up.
Well, yeah, no personal belief. He never went there. As soon that place
okay.
didn't matter to him.
Oh, okay.
But I find for Canada's history, I find our accidental deaths more impactful than the actual war sites. So, the mining disaster areas, where you'll go to, there's a place called Crow's Nest Pass, and as you're driving along, you will see just a hole in the side of a mountain, the size of a door, or 2 doors, and it is surrounded by grave sites. Because they would literally just get what bodies they could, and they bury them in front of the mine shaft, so that way they never use the mine shaft again.
Oh, that's
Because that's pretty atrocious, though.
Yeah.
Yep. It's
They don't want
America.
to cross over graves.
Yeah. Friend.
Cole, have you ever been to Halifax?
No.
Okay, well, I can only imagine. Again, it's not a. It's related to war, but it's not war because they had back in World War One. Halifax was a big harbor for us sending materials over to the Allies. Well, actually, I think still on both sides, but they had two ships. One that was loaded with like ammunition and gun cotton and ammonia and everything else, and the other one, they ran into each other, and then one of them caught fire, and the next thing you know, it was the single biggest explosion in human history up until Hiroshima. Man-made explosion.
Those were American ships?
No, it was well, I don't know. I would think one of them was a French ship and one was American. But it was over a right-of-way going into and out of the harbor because they had submarine nets up so the Germans couldn't get into the harbor. And so there was a bunch of, circumstances that led to these two boats being basically at the same place at the same time. And navigation of the waterway, there was a right-of-way, and there was some misunderstanding over who had, I'm going left, you go right. And the other person was getting a signal because they didn't have radios back then, and they were like, "No, you go right." And they ran into each other, and one caused the other to, and it was just this tremendous explosion, and it just decimated Halifax. Oh, and the survivors that were there that night when they were still people were trying to rush to nearby towns were coming over to try to help out.
Yeah.
A blizzard blew in. So, and it was even worse. So I can only imagine what Halifax is like. If you ever get a chance, look up on YouTube, look up the Halifax explosion. And you want to talk about just what it must have been. Well, most of those people just died. They didn't have any idea. A lot of people were going up to the dock. Ooh, look, ships are on fire. And, they were instantaneously gone. So
it's Halifax. Yeah. There's no other entertainment.
Yeah, especially in 19 whatever. So 18, 15, somewhere in there. So 16, I think. So it was not good.
But it does still make sense then.
Yep.
Because still fits my whole philosophy on that. Americans and French Canadians still can't fucking drive. It doesn't even matter what vehicle it is.
I'm not going to argue on the American side.
That's I don't know about the French. I know about the Italians, and they cannot drive. You're like, don't look. Hopefully we live.
Hey, it may just be the fact that none of us can drive.
Yeah.
Hey, I can drive pretty well.
Oh, don't you even.
He's like, don't get me started.
You really want me to expose you on the freaking show here?
Hey,
calm down. Mr. I don't know what a stop sign is?
Hey, that only happened a few times.
We're up to 6.
Stop. It's not legal.
That stop sign came out of nowhere.
Jeez, I'm glad I'm in Ohio right now.
Yeah.
Oh, please, Ohio. Oh, I've driven all across this country. I thought, okay, nobody can drive worse than people in Dallas. And then I got to
You're the second person who said that to me in a week.
No, seriously. Well, Dallas itself is set up for people to fail. It's the dumbest of all the Texas cities. It's the dumbest. They don't tell you that you have an exit coming until you're a quarter mile to it, and then it's like, wait, what? And you're 3 lanes over, and nowadays you have GPS that will or your phone will tell you need to be over in this lane. Back in the 90s, when I was driving there on a regular basis, when I was living in Waco, and I'd go up to go visit, spend time up there, there was nothing. You just had to you had a map, and that was it. So And you'd just be like, "Oh, there's our exit. Okay, I guess we're going. Oh, wait, we got to go 15 miles up here, and then we can get off." And then
Yeah.
they turn around, and then no.
Yeah.
But no, the worst drivers in the world. I'm still going to go with Houston. I swear to God, Houston. They have a loop that goes around the entire city, and it's like a NASCAR track. And the problem is they've got so many old people that get on that thing, and they don't know how to enter the loop, and so they get on the highway, and it's like it causes all kinds of shenanigans. It's no, Portland's bad traffic. Austin is bad traffic, but yeah,
Well,
Dallas.
but to be fair, Portland is a bad
New
center for
York.
roads.
Well,
LA, probably.
New Jersey, New York, it's like people will just run out in front of you. It's like Italy to me, though. When I went to Rome, the people were doing that too. Like, people just plow, the driver will plow through if there's even 50 people in the middle of the road and then think that they're going to get through. They're going to win. That is really sick. But New Jersey, everything's like a one way, and they have all these freakish roundabouts kind of things. Have you ever been there to especially Atlantic City area? Oh, it's bad because my relatives are all from Jersey.
Guess what we have a lot of up around here? Roundabout.
This is like the new thing here to put in roundabouts, like in fields, is preventing accidents. Yes, like towns, middle of nowhere. There was not even a town. It's just fields. Like, here's one gas station and a huge freaking roundabout. Roundabout.
That's probably federal transportation dollars that were spent somehow on that. Well, we got to spend the money somewhere. Well,
yeah, now Michigan's doing it because on the way to my mom, it's in the middle of nowhere too, the whole route. And yeah, they have 3 roundabouts now. And I'm like, what the heck is with these roundabouts? And they really do think that it's going to prevent accidents of people flying through intersections. But I'm like, nobody knows how to do it. Especially older, older and young people. Right. They don't know how they work, so then there's more accidents. So how is this preventing anything? This is adding hell to my life.
You want to know what's fun? It's a 4-lane roundabout. They have one. They have one in Waco. It's a 4-lane roundabout, and it was built back in the 50s.
Never heard of
it. It's a major part of the city anymore, but I've been on that thing, and it's like, why is there a 4th lane? Why is there more than 2 lanes?
Yeah.
I guess because, we got a lot of traffic that was coming through there, but they put 4 lanes in. Why is this a thing? So, because you just need to be, exit, 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 exit. There's 4 exits. That's it. 1, 2, 3,
it's like
4.
Chevy Chase, and he's like, look, babe, there's Big Ben.
There.
It's like, I totally identify. Like, my GPS, we were in the middle of nowhere, of course, in Maryland, going towards Hagerstown. Ran into a roundabout, and I'm like, God, no, not the roundabout. Then my GPS, when I was looking at it, I was, trying to figure out what the exit was because I missed her saying, which one to take. Because it used to be, on the 3rd one, take the 3rd exit or something.
Yeah, I do that all the time. Yep.
So it's like, crap, I missed it. So I'm looking at the map, and I literally see the map change. And I'm like, oh, God, now I'm screwed. I just don't even know what's going on. So, and then Misty's like, no, you're supposed to go here. And I'm like, I didn't hear him. You spoke too late. Now we're going around. It's a Chevy Chase moment.
You're just going around. That's when you just, that's the exit I came in on. It looks familiar. I'm going to go back that way about 2 miles.
Yeah.
Set the GPS and come back. So.
And it's always just one lone gas station and a humongous roundabout. I'm like, this is so necessary. We really needed this with our tax dollars.
Nikki,
oh, God.
Wow.
Nikki, when's the last time you went on the Guide Meridian in Bellingham?
Oh my God, it's been years.
Okay, so there are now 10 roundabouts from Bellingham to Linden.
Are you kidding me?
This is, I think, 6 miles.
Wait, back on that, Cole? Is that where
Holy
we...
Christ.
Yeah,
Right?
that's the road we took Sumas, so we didn't go through that on that road.
Yeah. Okay.
What for?
Safety.
Probably the record.
And that was a stretch of road, too, if I remember right.
And, like,
God.
Somehow
They turned
this is Inslee's fault. I know it. Damn
they
it.
turned every intersection on that road into a roundabout.
I mean, it's bad enough down in Cedar Woolley, and I understand a little. Actually, it works. I understand it in Cedar Woolley, and they have a stoplight going out of town, coming back this way, and they have stoplights in and around there. But the roundabouts they have mostly work. I just don't know why you would need that many roundabouts. You could just put stop signs.
Do people know what a stop sign is?
It's relatively inexpensive. You put the sign up.
Yeah, one sign.
My favorite one, yeah.
Isn't that road out in no man's land, out in the Tules, out in you
Look what I just said.
Yeah, so when I tell people tell people where to turn off on that one, I tell them you wait till the second cow and then you turn. Friend.
ouch.
Like, there's nothing out there. There's one restaurant in the middle of nowhere.
That's funny.
But it works in Europe. Don't you understand?
Take him right at the
It
second
works in Europe.
cat.
Okay.
It's funny. It does work better. It works in Europe.
Yes,
Well,
in Europe it works fine. A lot
John-
of things work in Europe.
We're just idiots.
John just posted a little meme in the Discord, and it's of a car going through a roundabout, but they don't go on the road. They go through the middle. Kayla's aunt used to do that.
Yeah, up and over, baby. Up and
Yeah.
over.
And then they redid the one in Cedar, and they put the rocks in the middle.
Keep turning.
Friend, we had to take her car in.
Oh my God, is that real footage?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No.
Friend. But yeah, one of our ones in Cedro, they put a really beautiful rock area in the middle, and we had to actually take her car in because she hit them. And
This is why she doesn't drive anymore.
well, no, that's not why, Rick. It's because she died.
Oh, I thought you were talking about oh my God, I'm sorry.
Why you make him feel bad? Like,
Oh my God, I thought you were talking about your wife. I did not.
that's what you said too. Oh my God.
Kayla doesn't drive very much. The one time I had her drive our first standard vehicle, friend, we had one boulder in the middle of our yard, and she hit it. Not only did she hit it, but she climbed on top of it and high centered the vehicle. Friend,
Wow.
so
I mean, this is so funny because like this footage, it's so accurate though. Like if some fool is speeding like that and they don't see it in time, that's what's gonna happen.
Well, the problem is, and I've seen this in news stories, and people don't pay attention. Their foot's on the floor, and they just go to stoplights, and traffic circles aren't going to save you. They're going to blow through it anyway. It's not going to make any difference. And hopefully the traffic circle just keeps you from killing somebody immediately. That's if they don't launch into a house about 100 yards where they land at. So,
Right.
yeah. I mean, that's Dukes of Hazzard stuff right there. And it's not shocking at all.
Well, we had and I never saw it, but we have in Troy, and we have a square. Like they call it a square, and it's not really a square. It is literally it's a huge circle, and it's like literally what's in that video, but it's just a lot bigger. There's a fountain in it, though. It's just a fountain. Our Christmas tree goes in every year, that kind of thing. Well, so this guy got, it's pretty funny because we used to go to this bar all the time pre-kids when we were young, and he was probably about, I'd say like he was just 21. back then. And he was like, I'm going to be mayor of Troy. Like, he really thought he was going to be mayor of Troy. Then he like lost, and then he ran for like, I think like treasury or something like that. He lost that. But we found out that he got drunk. Like, he would leave. He was a bartender, and then he would actually leave to go around Troy to another bar after they closed, because it was a restaurant. It closed like at 11. And he would get drunk, and then he would try to drive home. He drove right into the fountain, apparently. And then he's like, I wonder why I lost. You drove into our fountain. I mean, like, is there a question? It hit the paper. You're toast. Yeah, and then he doesn't live here anymore. He's gone.
But we won't forget, so you're not getting the job.
And his name was actually Cole, so that was kind of funny.
To be fair, though, okay, when they put a fountain in the middle of a intersection in Calgary, I used to jump the sidewalk because that's a free car wash. Friend, like, why not?
Yeah.
Right there.
I think that too. I think that he went to jail from it, and he still walked in like surprised that he lost. I'm like, oh.
Unbelievable.
I honestly think half the residents of Calgary still hit that fountain. Like,
Oh yeah.
like, why wouldn't you?
Car wash, man.
Yeah, like, friend,
Tenderly.
washing your vehicle gets expensive.
Yeah.
There's no words. I'm lost of words now.
But
Well, I will say, actually, the Eisenhower house is really actually pretty cool if anybody ever wants to tour that, because it's literally right behind, like I said, where all the horrible things happen to me. But they had, Churchill had visited there, and they had pictures of him in the golf cart with Eisenhower and some other really, Secret Service, other popular people. But he had entertained people like all over the world. I mean, back then it was like pretty much major commies, terrorists kind of people. And he brought them to his house, met the grandchildren and everything to try to like get peace and work with them and have like nice understanding, which they said caused a lot of, it was actually a lot better that he did do that, because it could have been worse. So it's kind of interesting. But like that whole area was really cool. If anybody wants to
Is this presidential museum there?
It is just his house. And
Okay.
I will say this, when Nikki and Robert were texting me then that day, we were about to start the tour, and they took 40 people through the house at once on a tour. So that kind of sucked, because you didn't have time to stop and really look and read anything. And they gave you like a little pamphlet of the whole house and old pictures and stuff of him, and his wife was named Mimi. I'd have to say her taste was excellent. I think her and I would have gotten along very well with my house. I'm like, this is what I want for my curtains. And then my husband's always yelling at me like, we're not doing that. This woman got what she wanted. I like kudos her. I'm like, okay, praise. She was really awesome. I mean, the house is really neat. They had like, the kitchen was like original though. So it was kind of crazy, because she died in 1979. The park officially opened in 1980. So she lived in the house until she died. And there was no modern upkeep. I mean, that was like straight 1950s. The refrigerator, I didn't even recognize the refrigerator, because you know how you'll see refrigerators in TV shows. And I'm like, what the heck? That was like a weird refrigerator. Right. So it was kind of neat.
Well, was it a refrigerator or an icebox?
I mean, they said it would look like, stood like a refrigerator.
They had refrigerators back then. Yeah. And he would have had enough money as a former president.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So they
it had like a big U like kind of thing, where I guess you pulled it open, or you could have used it to open something. But I did not. I've never seen that before. It was really interesting. And they had her tea sets, like all these original things all over the house.
Wow.
It was pretty cool. She loved pink. Everything was pink. So it was kind of neat, yeah. So there's so much to do there.
We're going to Gettysburg. Paula's like, pink. Yeah. So we're going to Gettysburg. We're going to the Eisenhower House. Yeah.
Well, if you guys go, I'll drive back. But don't be surprised if all the crazy shit starts happening because Rosella showed up.
Okay. Well, yeah, we'll drag you along. All right. We definitely. 'Cause
Yeah.
I don't know that she's all on board for the excitement, but yeah, I could use it. So.
You're like, we were fine until we picked you up. Well, it's already 3 a.m. here.
Oh, yeah.
Shit, it is midnight. Yeah.
Oh, damn. So what are we going to be talking about tomorrow? I mean, next week.
Tomorrow, we're going to... I'm going to sleep.
No, I can't do 2 days. I'm already dying.
Friend, next week, I am not sure yet. I will let everyone know, friend, what our topic's going to be for next week. Thank you everyone for listening. It has been an awesome show. Thank you, Rosella, for pretty much carrying the show with your stories.
Yeah.
You're welcome. I was like, hopefully they're still there when I'm done. That crazy story.
If everyone's interested, there's in the useful links are Rosella's pages. So make sure you head over there in the Discord chat and visit her websites, and she has pictures and videos up there. And
yeah, I can post them in a minute too, just to be sure in Discord again.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for listening. We will be back with you next Wednesday at 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Until then, have a great week and say bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace out.
Data transfer complete. System malfunction. Please evacuate immediately. Program terminated.
Son of a biscuit eater.